So Andor is finally over, and the true question can be asked. Is Andor the best Star Wars ever made? Or is it just an absolute fraud? Let's talk about it. Welcome, friends. I am the man you may know as Abraham Reviews Will Kill You, and I'm here to talk about Andor. And just to give you a little bit of context as to what I'm doing here, I have watched every single piece of live-action Star Wars stuff that's out there. I don't know anything about the animated stuff. I don't know anything about Rebels. Don't ask me. I have no idea. I can only speak to you to what I have seen, which is all of the movies. And, you know, I have an ad back there. It probably means I like Star... Look, there's C-3PO right there. C-3PO. As a Lego. Had to be built. So I'm just saying, I've seen a lot of Star Wars in my day. And I watch Andor, and I am not sure how I feel about it. And I wanted to explore what that looked like. I'm not going to do a full season recap. I'll kind of talk about little points here and there. Obviously, there's going to be spoilers. I just wanted to talk about how it made me feel, because I feel that on some level, Star Wars is an emotional reaction, which is strange. I can't tell you how many times I've seen those reactions of Luke Skywalker coming back during Mandalorian Season 2, and people just bawling their eyes out because Luke Skywalker is back. I mean, personally, I side more with the Emperor. But that being put aside, I really appreciate what Andor did. And I'll start with this. As I'm one of the few people who really did not like Rogue One at all. And maybe it's because it's from a technical standpoint. I knew they fired their director before he could finish the show, like the movie completely. And I remember watching trailers where certain things had been cut from the trailer. If you remember, there's this big confrontational scene on like the tower that's to, I don't know, transmit the plans of the Death Star or what have you. And there's supposed to be a TIE fighter that comes up. And that's not what happens. At least I don't think it. I know it doesn't. I know there's many different edits of that movie. And I'm one of those people who's like, Rogue One sucked. But having seen Andor, I am willing to re-watch Rogue One and decide whether or not it was a good movie. And I do, in fact, now. I am interested in Andor Cassian Cassian Andor. When I was not interested in him in the movie, I am now interested in his backstory. What's also interesting is it's very well written, and the unique part of it is it's not Cassian Andor's story. They want you to think it is in the beginning, but it really is not his story. I would actually argue it's Luthien's story. But by the end, I was intrigued in Cassian as not even so much as maybe a little bit as a character, but more of the idea of what it took to be a rebel amongst the Rebel Alliance, and the type of morality, and him really kind of defining what it meant to be a rebel, which explains some of his strange actions in in Rogue One. So maybe I'll go back and watch Rogue One and kind of put all this together. But I just felt that it was very, very good. And I really like season 1. I really, really like season 1. The finale of season 1 is one of my favorite season finales I've ever seen, with the funeral and the marching band and the riot. I love it so much. And then came season 2, and here's where I'm going to tell you why I was like a little concerned, a little confused. But ultimately, Andor did not let me down. But before we do any of that, let's take a look at the Rotten Tomatoes score, and just to get an idea, like, it's not the end all be all. It's really just to give us an idea of where things actually are. Just to get an idea, a consensus, if you will. All right, let me bring this up here. So, overall, 96% on the critic side, 88% on the fan side. Shockingly, that's almost exactly what it is. Season 1, 96% on the critic side, 88% on the fan side. Season 2, 97% on the critic side, 88% on the fan side. And this is a real slow-moving show where the only reason why it has any popularity is because of word of mouth, of people telling other people this was actually pretty good. You should check this out. It's something you're genuinely going to enjoy, which is hard to explain to people. Like, how do you explain to people such a slow burn? So the second season picks up with Andor, and the first 3 episodes, essentially the way they dropped it, it's 3 episode arcs. Although this one was not as self-contained as the first season. The first season was very much 3 season arcs, or 3 episode arcs. This is 3 episodes that kind of directly connect to other episodes. And there's been a lot of people who complain about them. The first 6 episodes are pretty rough. I'm not going to say they're god-awful, but pretty rough to get through. And so Cassian basically steals a ship, goes, and it's supposed to be some advanced ship that they need. No one ever explains why. It just is what it is. And it's just a mission, I guess. And he gets, instead of meeting up with the people he's supposed to, he gets bridged, which means he gets taken out of the plot for 3 episodes while you explore the relationships and catch up with everybody else. So his friends that were from Fenrix are all on some Zack Snyder Rebel Moon. And the other people are, you find out about the weird relationship between the girl who's the oh my god, she's the Imperial officer, and her now boyfriend and all that jazz. So the first 3 episodes are extraordinarily boring. Cassian is relegated to nothing, and not that Diego Luna is the greatest actor in the world, but you'd think you'd be into it with him. Then you kind of go off, and they start this whole Gorman arc, where Gorman has the lens for the Death Star. They have the materials to build the lens for the Death Star, and the Imperials have to concoct a plan in order to make it legitimate for them to take over Gorman and basically pillage the planet, because they have to remove everything out of it to get enough material to complete the Death Star. And then you run into, other characters that you've seen in Rogue One who are crazy and why they're crazy. And I heard people say they connected this to Rebels and things like that. And I was like, I kind of don't care. I did like the I Have Friends Everywhere. So these 3 episodes kind of picked up a little bit, except there's a lot of wedding. Mon Mothma's daughter is going to get married. She essentially sold off her daughter in order to guarantee that she'd have funding for the Rebel Alliance, which almost becomes irrelevant at some point. Episode 7 through 9 is where it really starts to pick up, because then you get to see the insurgency on Gorman, and these episodes really, really get good. And so the last 6 of this season are really where it all comes home for me. And then maybe it's fascinating, because the first season's arc ends at its peak on episode 12. Yet in the season 2, the pinnacle, the crescendo is episode 11, and 12 is like a coda to kind of give you where everybody is. And I think it's episode 10. That might be my favorite episode. It's Luthien's origin story. And it really tied everything together, where this truly was how Luthien and his assistant started it. And I loved her side plot. I loved her having to, kill the man that really raised her and saved her life. And I thought it was well acted, well executed. she's a woman. She pretends to be a nurse in order to sneak in because they know they have information on Luthien. And I absolutely love that episode. So what's really fascinating to me is there's this weird dichotomy between episodes I absolutely love, some of the best things I've ever seen from Star Wars, some of the best resources, some of the best assets, and then just absolute dreck where, you have, I think it's episode 3 of season 2, where Cassian he's been captured by these like rejects, and they play rock, paper, scissors to like decide what to do with them. So I don't know. That's where it left me kind of confused as to how I felt about this. Overall, just expertly done, so amazing. I love so much of it. But on the other hand, I really hate the slow episodes. Like, hate. I made other videos where I was telling you how much I hated this and how disappointed I was in what was going on with this whole season. So, the first 6 episodes really dragged. Really, really dragged. But overall, is it the best Star Wars I've ever seen? Well, it's definitely the best TV Star Wars, because that's not fair. The Mandalorian was kind of like fun and amusing, but like, come on. And then Book of Boba Fett is an absolute joke. Just absolute dreck. Ahsoka is extremely boring, and if you haven't seen Star Wars Rebels, you're not going to understand what the heck is going on. And then Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Obi-Wan show, was just an absolute joke. I hate that show so much. You can't hide Princess Leia under your jacket and act like that was cool. You can't have Princess Leia who acts like she never met Obi-Wan Kenobi before in any of the movies, and then suddenly like, hey, we had an adventure when you were like 7 years old. We were like best buddies, and then we never spoke to each other ever again. You're never going to see anything like this either, because they spent a lot of money on this, and like $620 million. They claim it was a big win. They got a lot of subscribers from this. It's probably one of the biggest things they had to drive subscribership. Tony Scott's never going to get anything ever again from Star Wars. Not as long as Kathleen Kennedy's here. It just, I can't imagine that they're going to pay for this, like, or that they would ever let him pay for something so expensive. The one thing I will say about it, where, and then what's the other show that I watched? The Acolyte, which was an absolute joke. Oh, Tony Gilroy, not Tony Scott. Tony Gilroy, some kind of genius. I really do. Every single cent that they claim they spent on this, you could feel it in every set, in every actor, everything they did. You could feel it. Even one of the actresses, Luthien's like daughter, said that like one of the scenes where they're at a party and she's like trying to go around and operate and do all these things, she said it felt so real to her, it was almost overwhelming, which I thought was really cool. So it's kind of one of those love it or hate it. A lot of people are going to hate it because it's too slow for regular Star Wars fans. People who like something that's a little more like interesting with a lot of plot lines and threads are going to like it, but it also was slow. And then you get some just amazing television. Acolyte looked like it was money laundering with its sets, and this looked like every stinking set was. It was impeccable, absolutely impeccable. There's nothing I can even. It makes me want to watch Rogue One again, and that's all I can say about it. What did you guys think? Did you enjoy this? I really struggled. I finished this probably a week ago, and I've just struggled with coming up how I wanted to describe how I felt about it. And a lot of it came down to Cassian Andor is not a great character, but by the end, I was truly intrigued as to what he would do next, even though I know what happens. And that's what I hate about prequels. But by giving us like some of the characters that we got, like Luthien, and even Mon Mothma was kind of really cool. Watching Mon Mothma and Luthien and Luthien's daughter and all of that stuff was just is worth it in the end for me. So let me know what you guys think in the down in the comments below. I really enjoyed parts of it, but not all of it. Thanks for watching. I do appreciate the time you took to listen to me ramble about this thing, because again, I try, when I review stuff, I try to come from the heart, and this one really hit me in a weird place because I'm a big Star Wars fan, and I ultimately don't think we're ever going to get anything like this again. And what I got enjoyed, but at the same time, it was a chore to get through, and I hate things that are a chore to get through. Again, let me know what you think in the comments below. Catch our live stream Friday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join the channel. We have plenty of extra videos that you didn't get to see because you're not a member. We could use the help. It helps us grow the channel. It helps us build what we're doing here. Helps us pay potentially an editor that could help us do things because it's a lot of work to do all this. But we love all y'all. Catch our short reviews. We review all sorts of stuff you've probably never seen, and we'll make you laugh every time. Love all y'all, but I'm on to the next one.
Thanks for catching the video. Be sure to join our channel to get the education you deserve. Make sure you check out our shorts, live streams, and catch us on all the socials. Don't forget to like and subscribe.